You read it today, it will be better revision for you in the lab. If you don't read, again it is a fresh lecture. If you read it today and come to the lab, it will be a better understanding for you, right?
Yes.
So read it today. So this is the radial nerve. So as I said, wrist drop. This is the picture of the wrist drop. He cannot extend because all these muscles are paralyzed, which do the extension of the wrist. Okay. So how does the radial nerve injured?
Radio by
Wrist.
by tennis.
No. Radial nerve injury.
Crystal.
The spiral groove. Fractures of the shaft of the radius.
Saturday night.
Okay, and any pressure on the radius, as like the
Adams.
Saturday night armchair. Okay, and even in the axilla. So some persons with some deformity or handicapped persons with any polio or something like that, they use crutches. You know crutches, where they use put in the axilla and then walk. So this continuous pressure of the crutches in the axilla will cause injury to radial nerve. So all those injuries will result to this condition, that is wrist drop. So wrist drop, radial nerve. Claw hand, ulnar nerve. Ape hand, median nerve. Clear? So this is a very good slide, very important slide for you to revise all these four nerves in the upper limb. Musculocutaneous, from where does it begin? Okay, and what are its branches and what nerves they supply, and what muscles they supply. Okay, say for example musculocutaneous, it supplies coracobrachialis, biceps brachii, and even brachialis part, and it continues as lateral cutaneous nerve of forearm. And look at this median nerve. Supply, pronator, arteries, flex, all these muscles. Okay, very good slide to explain all the four nerves. Okay, to revise this very easy. So now arteries. Okay, as I said, brachial artery ends at the level of the neck of the radius by dividing into radial and ulnar artery. Ulnar artery runs along the ulnar side, radial artery runs along the radial side. One of the branch of the ulnar artery here in the forearm is common interosseous artery. What is that?
Common interosseous artery.
Which immediately after its origin splits into two. One anterior and one posterior, which run on the posterior and anterior surface of the interosseous membrane. Anterior interosseous artery supplies anterior compartment, deep part especially, and the posterior interosseous artery supplies the posterior compartment. Clear? And even there are other branches which supply the forearm muscles. And as I said, even in the yesterday, they take part, their branches take part in anastomosis around the elbow joint, like recurrent branches. Ulnar recurrent branches,
yes.
Radial recurrent branches. Similarly around the wrist also, carpal branches. Okay, they all make anastomosis around the wrist joint also. Okay, many branches. So if you read those slides, that's very important, very easy to understand. Only one thing you have to keep in mind is the interosseous artery, which divides into anterior interosseous and posterior interosseous. Rest of the story of these two arteries in the hand will be dealt with in the hand lecture. Okay. So this is the picture of the arteries.
Could you repeat after dividing in the neck here? After dividing it here, they go to radial and ulnar, right?
Yeah.
Then
Ulnar artery, immediately after origin, it gives an interosseous artery, which divides into an anterior interosseous artery, which run along the anterior interosseous membrane, okay, anterior side. And the posterior interosseous artery goes to the posterior compartment.
it's about ulnar.
Huh?
Ulnar artery.
Ulnar artery, yeah. So these two are from ulnar artery. Radial artery, nothing much, a big branch in the forearm, except which go to the elbow and which go to the wrist. Okay. Other than that, there are small muscular branches. And very important fact, I forgot to tell about the radial artery here. So everywhere here, from its origin till to the lower part of the forearm, it is deep to muscle like brachioradialis. When it comes to the lower part of the arm, it becomes superficial. It becomes superficial and lies over the radius bone, just covered by skin. Just covered by skin and fascia. So that's why whenever you go to a clinic, whenever you are sick, what does the physician do? First he will test your heart rate. How? By looking at the pulse rate. So pulse is recorded by Radial artery. Why? Why radial artery? Why not ulnar artery?
Because it's over.
Because ulnar radial artery is more superficial and lies over the bone. So wherever the artery lies over the bone, it is best to feel the pulse. So pulse you only, why do you look for the pulse? You look only for the rate or something else also? How you don't know, studied how to record the
Rhythm.
rhythm, rate,
and
volume also, pressure
Volume.
also you can measure. Okay, so that's how you roll. And even the any peripheral artery disease, whether artery is thickened or not, you will roll the artery over the bone. So that's why wherever the artery, peripheral artery lies over the bone, it becomes the best site to measure the heart rate or any other things what I said. Okay, similarly in the dorsalis pedis artery in the lower limb. Okay, the radial artery is chosen for the pulse rate. It is more easily accessible and superficial and lying over the bone. Clear?
Okay.
Now come to this retinaculum as I said. So you have two retinaculums. So what are these retinaculums? They are the thickening of the deep fascia. As I said, see these, how many? 11 here and 9 here. Sorry, it's 8 here. So total 19 muscles. 19 muscles from the forearm. They go, this is a big area, forearm. And as they have to cross the wrist and go to hand. Wrist is a small area, right? See here, very small area. So they have to, all the tendons has to pass through a small passage, the wrist. And whenever you do the movement of flexion and extension, there is a chance of these tendons coming out. And even when you do the extension, all these 11 tendons which are going to the dorsum, they may come out when you do the extension, right? There has to be something which keep these tendons in position, like a band, you know. So there is a band on the extensor side which keep these tendons in position, that is called as extensor retinaculum. And in front there is a band called as flexor retinaculum. What are these retinaculums? Everywhere there is deep fascia. Here it is not thick, whereas here it becomes very thick to keep the tendons in position. They are nothing but the thickenings of the deep fascia. In the flexor side, flexor retinaculum. Extensor side, extensor retinaculum. So let's look into the attachment. The flexor retinaculum, they are attached to carpal bones. So medial side, lateral side. So what are the bones? You just time being you remember the names like Hooka, Famet and pisiform on the medial side, scaphoid and trapezium on the lateral side. So they are names of the carpal bones. You will learn when you go to hand. Okay. So making this concavity of the carpal bones into a tunnel. That is called as carpal tunnel. All the tendons they pass through it. Okay. And now relations of this retinaculum. This is the flexor retinaculum. Some tendons or some structures pass deep to retinaculum and some structures pass superficial to the retinaculum. So like ulnar nerve, ulnar artery as I said. Okay. So these are the structures which pass deep to the retinaculum and these are the structures which pass superficial to the retinaculum. Very important from your examination point of view. Ulnar nerve artery passes deep to the flexor retinaculum. True or false?
True. That's superficial.
It passes superficial, right? Median nerve passes deep to the retinaculum. True or false?
True.
True, right? Like that, okay? So that is the story about the flexor retinaculum, structures passing superficial to it and structures passing deep to it. Just look into these structures and remember. Okay? And this is the carpal tunnel as I said, carpal bones, and this is the tunnel and this is the retinaculum. Bridging the gap. Okay? Tunnel.
This tunnel, it's a ligament.
Yeah?
It's a ligament.
I said the thickening of the deep fascia. Deep fascia is thickened, okay, to form the bridge. Now going to the extensor retinaculum. See, on the dorsal side, there is a band. So this is the extensor retinaculum. Again, its attachment, lateral attachment and medial attachment to the radius and to the carpal bones and the ulna. Okay. And one more point here. As you find many what is that? Muscle tendons here. So, how should I explain this? So there is a retinaculum here, okay, extensor. This is the hand, okay. So now from this inner surface of this retinaculum there are septas. Okay, divide it into different compartments. See these compartments? This is the retinaculum. This is radius. This is ulna. Okay, so now from the deeper surface there is one septa comes and attached to radius like this. Did you understand? Dividing into different compartments, because all the tendons, if they pass through one common space, then there is again chance of friction and even movement of the tendons. To prevent that, there is compartment so that they are fitted properly. Okay, are you following? So different compartments, like first compartment, second compartment, third, fourth, fifth and sixth. Each compartment will have different tendons. First compartment and the second compartment mainly tendons of your go to the thumb and even the radial finger, like that. Okay. So now we will look into name of those tendons. For exercise, the first compartment it gives passage for abductor pollicis longus tendon and extensor pollicis brevis tendon. Okay, like that. Different compartments. And the second compartment, see, radialis. So as it goes to the index finger. Right? So third compartment, fourth compartment, fifth compartment. What are the structures in there? Okay. So this is the picture showing the extensor compartment. Extensor retinaculum. See that? And all these tendons in different compartments. See this blue structure? That is the covering of the tendons by synovial membrane. Synovial membrane. So all these tendons going to the fingers, the digits. Some going to carpal bone, some going to phalanges, and some going to your metacarpals. So this is again one more picture showing the extensor retinaculum. So that's all about today's lecture on forearm.